on Facebook. Sports Rap Podcast LLC is the group page right there. So as you know, today I mentioned to you all that I am coming back with the Sports Rap interview series. All right, I've done it and kind of got away from it with doing everything else and doing other stuff with the show. But this particular interview has been a long time coming. I met this gentleman a little while back, and because of our schedules, or more so because of my schedule, because he does his thing when he does his thing, because of my schedule, wasn't able to do some of the things I wanted to at the time. But now, where I'm at, I've got some things organized, a little bit better organized, if you will, as far as with the podcast and everything. So I'm going to make some time to get there. So if you do not know, if you did not know, if you weren't following at all, I am, turn the Instagram camera around real quick. I'm here. Y'all know that face. If you on Facebook, you see the face already. Founder, CEO of the famous Alumni League right here in the city. And as soon as I said Alumni League, I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are tuned in or that are getting ready to tune in that are jumping and knowing who I'm talking about and what I'm talking about. So, folks, if you want to get in on the action also, you can call in 215-287-1672. So, again, like I said, we got Fahreed Cheatham here, and Fi, as we all affectionately call him. Good brother, good dude. And like I mentioned to you all in my post earlier today, we touched on a little bit of Philly basketball yesterday when I was here with my guy, Rad. But we're taking it a little different angle today because this league has been around for
6 years.
6 years now. And I'm sure when we get into the meat of this, he's going to tell you it's been a hell of a ride. Mm-hmm. I've been watching for the last couple years. Actually on and on for the past 6 years. I slacked off a little bit, like I said, I got busy, but got back in. And I see the things that are going on. So, we've had our introduction. So, first and foremost, I'm going to have my good brother here. He's going to talk to you. He's going to tell you about the growth of the league, the new expansion. That was the expansion this season, the first year expansion this season, and how we got to that point.
So good evening, everyone. We started off in Philadelphia, Fahreed Gym. We started off with 8 teams, and then we was able to increase up to 12, up to 22, 28, then 40 teams, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and then Fahreed Gym, they relocated. So, but we were happy with the progress we made in Philly. And then we moved to Finley Rec Center in Philadelphia. And then when we moved there, we were at season 10 at that point. Okay. A lot of the loyal teams stayed with me through the whole process of the COVID situation and moving and everything. And I want to give a shout out to all my loyal teams that stayed with me from day one, and all the new teams that joined us in the city of Philadelphia as we expanded. And then we also began moving out to play in Delaware, Chester, in New Jersey, and that's where we started at with season 12, and that's where we at now with the expansion and growth of the league.
Cool. So y'all, I hope y'all were paying attention. He said 8 teams, 24, and then I think we got up to somewhere like 40. Mm-hmm. So you got. Come on, y'all, do the math. Y'all smart people, I know this, because y'all tune in to me every Monday. That's more teams than the total in the NBA. Mm-hmm. All right? So now remember, I keep that thought in mind, that little tidbit I just gave y'all, more teams in the NBA. But I want y'all to keep that NBA part in your head. As we progress, you'll understand what I mean when we talk about that NBA thing. Mm-hmm. So you moved out into Delaware and New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And Chester. So we've got, now you definitely have the tri-state covered.
Yeah.
How was that process moving to those different areas? As far as securing a stable spot for your games, and having that be like a consistent, full-fledged partner in your expansion?
Yeah, so what happened was it started with Fahreed, my mentor, big brother, Eric Evans' brother, Tyreek Evans. He had a lot to do with his transition from college to the pros. He trained them. He used to come to our practice. We played at Cheney together, and Tyreek Evans was 14, 15, coming to our practices at college. Pooh was training them then.
Too easy.
Yeah, it was inevitable that he was going to go to the pros with Pooh training him. And so we linked up. He seen that my league was out in Jersey, and Pooh called me. He had a feed-on gym, and he just hit me up like, "Yo, why you in Jersey? Come here in Philly." And so his gym was doing such great numbers. I thought I was too small to be at his gym. He's like, you my little bro, just come on over. I came over, and him having two great professional courts, like they that's what set it all off. The players loved playing on his courts, and we had two courts, so it just court like wildfire throughout the city, and teams love competing. The structure of the league, we capitalized on doing things thoroughly, professionally, no nonsense, no ghetto playground basketball, just come to play, tuck your jerseys, no complaining, play ball. And the players just respect that. Me being a former ball player, I knew what the players liked, what they wanted, how they wanted to be treated. And so we ran with that formula. And you got great basketball and a great gym. With me and Pooh there, the players just knew what we were on. And so it was able to grow the way it did. And we would have security at the game so everybody felt safe bringing their family. And it was just a great atmosphere. We ran with the whole, family environment and professional thing. Right. And the players took to that. They came, carrying themselves, conducting themselves properly. And like I said, it took off, and it did really well. Mm-hmm. And that's how we got the growth of going from 8 to 20 to 40-plus teams. When I say 40 teams, we had every part of Pennsylvania covered with our 40 teams. And we just stayed humble and stayed hungry and kept applying the same things we were doing over and over and over and tweaking anything we seen necessary.
Right. So you hear the answers and the responses. Fully focused, a man about his business. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned for Don's gym, and you mentioned you felt like initially that you were too small with the 8 teams. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to just touch a little bit of Philly basketball, just area basketball, real quick. How did you feel once you actually decided, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead with these 8 teams, and we're going to work this out and see what happens, how we grow. If we don't grow, we're going to do what we need to do, like you just said, tweak and everything. Mm-hmm. Because yesterday on our show, we talked about, and I mentioned, and my partner, Baldy, we also talk a lot. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned that we've got so much talent in this city, in this tri-state area, very close. The majority of them bus ride away if you live in the city and got to get outside. Mm-hmm. And we always go, and we were talking like the teens and even some of the the early age men, 20s, earlys, where we have the tournaments, but we always seem to have to travel to go to the tournaments. Mm-hmm. And it's there's no disrespect or discredit. People know us when we get there. Mm-hmm. They know, those balls from Philly, or just like that Baltimore thing. Mm-hmm. They know when you're a baller from Baltimore. But we never really had that hub in Philly. And I think what you did when you started with those 8 teams and then you grew, and like you said, it got to year 10 before you had to move. So at year 10, you were at how many teams by that point?
Well, season 7, we had to move. At season 7, we were at 40 teams. We got to also give a lot of credit to Chester, because that's when Chester joined the league. And when Chester joined the league, they brought Chester with them. And when I say they brought Chester with
absolutely.
them, they came out in flocks. And the polite trash talking came, when I say polite, I mean it was nothing dirty or nothing like meeting outside type stuff. It was just total support for Chester. Mm-hmm. And even that caught on fire. And it was like, the gym was just crowded, packed. It was to the point where we was already planning on having to use another venue to hold the capacity for us come championship time or playoff time. And so once that happened, it was crazy. And then we, like I said, the unfortunate thing with COVID came, and Fahreed broke up, and then they had to relocate. And then that's when we relocated, we had a lot of teams that stayed loyal, about 22, 24 teams that stayed loyal, stayed with us, and that's how we progressed from.
That's good. That speaks volumes when you say you got 20 teams that stayed loyal. Because playing a little bit of a devil's advocate here in this situation, you know this from being here in the city. You know, when you start a league, you start out with 8, and then you get to where you feel like, all right, we grooving, we rolling.
Right.
And then, like you said, life happens. Had to move.
Yeah.
We know, sitting here, just us talking, file, barbershop, whatever.
Right.
I got 24 teams, now I got to roll. Like, damn.
Right.
Be lucky if I keep 5 of them.
Yeah.
And for some strange reason, we know when that happens, you always end up and you get that odd number. So then you got to search for another team to do your scheduling and make everything playing out right. So with that, like it was where I was going is I said, with that, what type of impact do you feel like you had by bringing the league to the city and into that gym? And a well-known gym. Like we said, we know for Fahreed, everybody in the city knows Fahreed when it was there. But what type of impact do you think you had?
Well, I also want to.
So before you answer, not where you are now. Let's say let's play it a little bit here. You did it. After that first year, where did you feel like your impact was after that first year?
Well, to be humble and be modest, but be confident in myself.
Come on, man. You keep it 300, we keep it 100. We ain't gonna be humble. We gonna be honest.
You said it. I'm gonna keep it 300.
We gonna be honest.
My nickname, I got 300 from playing ball, and it came from me being aggressive, taking the game serious, practicing, putting in the work, and being successful at it. The teams I played for, I won. I was a very impactful player in the city. One could even argue I held it down for 10, 12 years as the best player in Philly. And I think the respect I got from players, whether they wanted to admit it or not, they knew I was always about my business. I'm serious. I don't go out and chill, hang with people. I stay focused on playing and practicing. And I took that motto of taking the game serious, transitioning it over to being a commissioner, a basketball official. Everything I did when it came to basketball, I took it serious. And that's the impact I think I had on the players that came and trusted me with joining our league. And I took that trust and that same passion I had for playing and practicing into running it functionally as a business. And it's been successful thus far.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's beautiful. Like I said, I've been to the game. The one game I made sure I recognized, I made sure you knew I was there. But honestly, I've been to a couple other games. I usually sneak in, sneak out. But for all intent and purposes, the league is run totally different than what you would expect if you go to a game and it's your first time. For me, I was thoroughly impressed. And I say thoroughly impressed, people, for a lot of the reasons that I just mentioned about the league, and we're going to get into that in just a second. The teams were there. They were Philly ballers. They was aggressive. It was the in-game trash talking. But there was no disrespectful. And it wasn't just, I got the lead, I got my refs here, we going to roll the ball out, let's play, we going to play whatever games. Wasn't any of that. It's shot clock. NBA style, basically. Now, remember I said that. I'm going to probably say it a couple more times. NBA, shot clock, technical fouls, suspensions, fines, everything. Matter of fact, if you follow, just last week, there was a referee that had to be disciplined. So it's not just within the players. It's a business, like he said, and he's about his business. It's all the way across the board. So even if you're a referee or whatever, if you need to be disciplined, you will be. So let's talk about what made you decide to go that route with those type of rules. Because usually, and you know this, you always know this, when we play in the leagues here in the city, the best we get are college rules.
Right. So to respond to that was, like I said, when I played ball, I played semi-pro ball, I played pro ball here in the States. I was voted top 25 in the U.S. outside of the NBA. I was multiple MVPs, Defensive Player of the Years in top pro-am leagues, everything. So all my experience from playing in those semi-pro and pro leagues, I took little mental notes from when I played in them. And I just remembered how either that league did things correctly or what they didn't do correctly. And so I know what it's like to play in the inner city leagues, which to me is considered like underground when you compare them to pro leagues out of the city traveling. And so I use that experience, like rough play, I say, so to speak, of playing in the inner city. And it helps to be roughed up a little bit in the inner city to play, in the suburban leagues out of town and everything. So learning both ways how it went, I applied it to the league. Okay, in the inner city, I know refs tend to, talk or say things that they shouldn't be saying to players. And when you're playing out, in the pro leagues, the refs are monitored. So they got their bosses watching them in the stands. So they're not going to respond to players unprofessionally because they know they'd be pulled. And so I just took both attitudes on how refs are treated players, and me becoming a certified referee myself, I took that even into officiating the same way. Boom, you're supposed to conduct yourself this way. So now as a commissioner, I expect that of my referees. And I only hire a certain level of referees that bring that professionalism, that players, like I said, when I played, I know what it was like for a ref to talk to me out of line. And some would even say, hey, listen, when Fahreed played, he played with a chip on his shoulder. He had anger issues, some would say, whatever, but I was just extremely passionate. And so with that being said, you want referees that even if I get out of line, treat me like a professional.
Right.
Give me a warning, give me a tech, but don't say things that take things elsewhere.
Right.
And so that's all those things I just named I wanted to apply with the Alumni League and make sure the players get respected, even if their temper get the best of them. Meaning if they say, that's a BS call, give them a warning. You even give them a tech if you want. But don't get to saying, hey, that's a BS move you just made. That's where you're going outside the lines of staying professional.
Right, and I like that hashtag you use, professionalism is everything. So a lot of people don't understand that, and I talked about it several times. Myself, past certified, PIAA certified referee. And people don't understand how difficult that job is. When I was talking to Mel yesterday, I said to him, in the entire time that I was refereeing, I had one person in the crowd at the end of the game come to me and say, yo, I respect referees a little bit different because of what you do. And people don't seem to understand that. That's like a lot of times me and my partner with Baltimore, when we tell people, yo, when y'all watching basketball games, every now and again, just watch the game, turn the sound off. Because you get caught up in the sound, and then you got to wait for the replay. And you get the replays, but that's like a thing I said like about the highlight reels. Take the highlight reels with a grain of salt. Because when you look at highlight reels, if it's 19 clips, 17 of them clips is of offense. You average 17 of them clips of offense, All right, so we're there. We got that pro atmosphere. We got that professionalism. We got that respect. Okay, so the league is run NBA. So we doing the quarters.
Yeah, we do 4 quarters. We have, it's funny you say the replay thing, we've implemented that last season where we can review a play under 2 minutes if a team uses their challenge. And all that comes from tweaking stuff. We had a season where it came down to the end, and a team, it was the Final Four. The team made the shot at the end, but when we rewinded it, the guy had the ball still in his hand with 0.00 on the clock, and they lost the game off of that shot, and I felt so bad. And it's like we never did it where we was able to review that. So we implemented that from the NBA, where and it was successful because teams have used that since, and it's helped manage the game better. Because referees we're not perfect, and so it's helped a lot, and we implemented that.
Yeah, I think that's a great part. I think that's a great change that you have as far as with your league and going along with the NBA rules, because I think that gives the players a little bit more incentive to want to play, where they know, for the most part, it's even kill. It's a fair chance. It's a fair fight. Because you know how it gets. Sometimes you go into certain hoods and they got certain referees. You're going to get some calls, but more likely than not, at a crucial moment, maybe, or some point in the game, maybe not crucial moment, some calls not going to go your way just because. So like with that, I feel like even as a referee, player, and a coach, I feel like you get the better chance with that. Like you just said, you added in the replay where you did what you said. The team lost the game on the shot, but we can fix that. And I think that's another thing that I liked about the league, where you have it set up where guys want to come and play. First and foremost, alumni league, so guys gonna want to come and rep their school or whatever anyway. And I think, and I should have asked you that earlier, I think that was, for me, I felt like that was, for lack of a better phrase, part of the catch. Because we all know with that basketball thing, you got guys that you play with all around the city, you meet guys and this and that, and then it's like, oh, we got a league and we can put the band back together. You know, we can do some things. And it's a different setting as opposed to just saying like it's a sports league and all right, we're going to get the squad. Like, you know, with structure. Guys know our game is at 6. We all should probably be there no later than 5:30. You know, and it's probably expected by this league that we be there by 5:30, so we need to be there. You know, so it's kind of like you have them marching, one team, one band, one sound, all the way across the board, and that's a great thing because a lot of times you don't get that. And I'm sure every so often, like you said, you have everything in place for that. You're gonna get a game or a certain moment where you're gonna get a knucklehead moment. I'm not gonna say a knucklehead. You're gonna get a knucklehead moment because it could happen anywhere. You know, and I know, like you said, the pride that you take in your league, and the guys that I've seen quite a few guys that I've known play. One of my best guys, and you saw me talking to him at the championship last year, Penwood Reds, is my dude, and Reds is a character.
Shout out to man.
Shout out to my guy Reds. He's a character. But you gotta love him because that's him, and it's never, like you said, in a aggressive, angry, disrespectful way. You know, so those are the kind of guys that you love to have in your league. You know, and things like that. So, best league in the tri-state. I'm sure we have already covered a lot of that in just the questions that I asked and in the way that you answered. But again, let's go there for a second. Take your commissioner hat off. Think of yourself as a player. You've been in this league 3 to 4 years now. What would you think about, or what do you think will make you say that this league is the best league in the tri-state?
I mean, keep it 300, man. I mean, you compete as a player. We don't pacify no players. There's nobody that we're at awe of, meaning there's no player that's bigger than the league. We've had Malik Waynes in our league, Ronald Flip Murray, Hakeem Warwick, just to name Deontay Christmas. We've had NBA pro talent in our league. And those guys, I respect all of them. But it's at the same time, they ball players. Come hoop, show us what you got. There's no excuses made for nobody. And they've all helped bless our league. I want to make sure I say that. Deontay Christmas, Ronald Flip Murray, Hakeem Warwick, all of them, Malik Waynes, good dudes. And they've helped the league get to where we're at. And but at the same time, hey, listen, guys, I respect y'all, but I'm not at awe of y'all. Let's come hoop, respect the rules, and they've done that. And once the other players see that, hey, listen, Deontay Christmas is held to the same standard we are, they know to follow that. And that's what's been great for the league. There's nobody, like I said, I played, so there's nobody that can come here and just act out. And it's like, oh, since that's him, he gets away with that. No, like I said, you mentioned it. I've suspended my own referee, and that was hard to do. But professionalism is everything, man. So once they see that, they know, hey, listen, there's guidelines here that we have to abide by and play by. And players respect that. As a player, I would. I mean, it's like, okay, everybody's held to that same standard. So I'm ready. Let's do this.
Yeah. See that, folks? Y'all see, I keep telling y'all what we do here. Y'all know how we do. We always try to bring y'all the business side of sports when we talk sports, so you understand and get the complete picture. Perfect example, we right in that same mold right here. Everything that I just told y'all. Bottom line, end of the day, it's a business. It's got to be run that way. If it's not, it's when you're going to get cracks in the scene. Scene going to start to loosen up. Then you're going to have what you don't want. And I'm not going to say problem, I'm just going to say you're going to have what you don't want. And it's going to make you work a little harder, but why put yourself in that position if you don't have to? You know? So again, like he just said to you, nobody is held to any different standard. So when you come in, it's everybody. And he said the players bring that into, and that's a great thing because, in my opinion, that builds up the competitive level. It makes these guys see on both ends, the guys that aren't pros, I can play. It may not be right time for me now to go to the pros, but I held my own against Deontay, against Malik.
Right.
You know, and then the other side, man, yeah, I had to play today.
Right. And,
you know,
and just to name a couple other things that's important is we help players make it to the next level. Those who aren't pros,
just getting ready to go.
Yeah, we help players get to the next level. We have player development where you come in, you can practice, work on your game. I've connected players to semi-pro, pro teams where they went on and got paid. We've paid players. Winners get championship rings. We have SFBN, which is a network, a media network who live stream the game, so you can go home after the games, watch your game on YouTube. Live, don't get me wrong, lives at games, that helps. But it's nothing. It's not better than going to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And your kids can watch the game from home if they ain't go with daddy, and they can watch it at home with mom and see dad on the TV. I had a couple of players tell me, man, it's a great feeling that you come home and your son's like, Dad, that was a great shot. I seen you know you dropped 15 on them and giving their dad high fives. That's just a humbling feeling knowing that those moments was brought to them from playing in the Alumni League. And so and then traveling and stuff, knowing, hey, listen, they take the family out after the game and go to the casino or carnival, wherever after the game, or just go to a restaurant and have dinner with your family after the game in Delaware or Jersey. Those things that are happening is what's making it all worth it.
Yeah, I'm truly happy that your league is here. You know, it's like I said, it's a beautiful thing, and you say the rewards are there too. You said it. The players get the championship rings. I saw the trophy. I had pictures of the rings and everything there. The greatest thing, I think, again, like you just mentioned, and I was getting ready to go there, the player development and helping the players get to the pro level. I feel like that's something that's never been done in an inner city league, so to speak.
I'm glad you said that because, like I said, I'm a confident person, and I get the difference between humble and being confident, but sometimes they can get confused with being cocky if you're confident. So that's what I concentrate on. Like I said, playing the game, knowing what wasn't given to us when I played in inner city. A lot of leagues just didn't care about that part. It was just about getting the money, giving you some jerseys, and just go hoop. And that's it. Win or lose, you know, you got commissioners that when confrontation happens, they don't even move from where they're sitting at. It's just like, oh, well, you know, it's whatever. And I just learned from that. I've been in a lot of confrontations with guys from being in games where rules wasn't set right or standards wasn't implemented correctly or stood on. So it's like, you know, being in all them confrontations, which I mean fights, literally fights, is like I've been through the trenches with every aspect of the game. And so I apply that with the Alumni League. And so, you know, when you have all those things that the guidelines and expectations and rewards for players and stats and every statistical category, top 25, anything where you get your respect from players. And now we're about to start doing top 5 guards, top 5 centers, where you can compare yourself to whoever it is that's your rival or people talking about, rumoring that might be better than you. You get to go at them because, like I said, we want that. We want the competition to come out and go at guys respectfully. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like that. And I'm sure the players and the teams like that. Like I said, I've been following, I've been watching, so I know I see the rankings and I see your posts and your comments you do the player every week. And like you said, a lot of the stuff, excuse me, that you filtered in are things, like you said, that we never had. I mean, think back real quick. Before you started the Alumni League, when you was playing, coming up, let's go high school, college. Came back home playing the league. How many leagues had an all-star game?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a sensitive topic because what gets brought up to me sometimes is you got the people that grew up on 16th Street and Sunny Hill. And so what people do to me, they either mock me and say, You know, you think you Sunny Hill, or they'll encourage me and say, yo, this thing even better than Sunny Hill. Respectfully, what Sunny Hill and 16th Street did for Philadelphia in general is different than what we doing. This isn't to say, hey, listen, I feel like 16th Street thing was like more of an inner city thing. You know, everybody come out, whatever. You might drink some beers. They might smoke some weed on the sideline. All that. And let's not get it twisted.
Right.
Guys like, you know, Rab, Sad Eye, Chrome, all them guys, they had Philly on their back with holding down basketball.
Right.
What we do, so I respect everything they did and what they stand for Philadelphia. What we do with the Alumni League is geared towards, you know, guys feeling that pro feeling, bringing your families, being able to go to the next level if you got dreams or wishes to want to expand your game. Like I said, having YouTube to watch your games or the family watch them from home.
Right.
So I get where people go with making the comparisons. It's going to happen, but like I said, this is about expanding in the growth throughout the tri-state.
Right. Like you said, well, even guys can have that exposure. They can create their own reels from the YouTube and everything. And what I was getting ready to say was one of the things that I think the difference, what I would say, just me, the difference between your league, the Alumni League, and 16th Street. At the time, we all know when 16th Street was jumping, I felt like the games there were not the games, the atmosphere there was the atmosphere that kind of sort of is needed now. And when I say that, I describe it like that. And I say that what I mean is you had the mixture. Like you said, you could drink a beer. There was dudes over in the corner smoking a weed and whatever. You had some kids running around. You know, you had people running up the street to the bar. You know, and it come back. Halftime they run to the bar, get their drink, come back, they outside with their drinks. But it was never any problems.
Yeah.
It was never any problems. And that was like one of those moments where it was like everybody can come together, South Philly, West Philly, wherever, even if you was beefing. For them couple hours, it was, we going to watch these games, do what we do, and we're going to go our way. The difference, I think, with your league is a lot of things like you just said, and basically that last thing you just said. That league gave you the playground, like you always say, the city. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Where the game has expanded, where your league has expanded the city game and everything that you just said, the opportunities. And you can use that word opportunity in so many ways. Immediately, people are going to jump right to the thing where you said you help people get signed overseas and other levels. Bigger than that, because everything else that you said right before I just chimed in, the YouTube thing, it's a family atmosphere. It's a pro setting. So we've got a lot of kids, a lot of young men, a lot of young women in the city now that are beginning to play basketball, beginning to get serious. This type of environment paints the picture for them, for that level. Even if they don't get it all, they have an idea of what to expect.
Right. And I like to say we're in partnership with my big brother, mentor, Joe Richmond, the ambassador of
It's my guy.
Delaware, Delaware Blue Coats. He's partnering with me. He's been supportive of me since day one with this. And for those that don't know him, he's, like I say, he's the ambassador of the Delaware Blue Coats,
Absolutely.
the G League for the Sixers team. He just had me. I was front row at their game. He has me come to their games and check out the scenery. And I was just front row watching McClung. McClung, who won the dunk contest. I'm watching front row watching him, and I'm watching the games. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, man, this atmosphere for the players to be a part of this and see this, and for him to come out and talk, because he has tryouts to possibly make that team. And so even for my players to even have a chance at the tryouts to make it to the G League, that's great to have that support from him. And for him to encourage our players.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Joe. That's my guy. Like I said, I've been down there several times. You know, we've been good friends for a long time. Good dude. Great dude, as a matter of fact. If y'all don't know him, get down there to Delaware, to that Chase Field House. Get to a Blue game. He will greet you at the door. You will definitely know his bright, bubbly personality, which is him all day, every day. One of the other things I just wanted to say real quick, with Joe. Oh, not Joe. McClung. You mentioned him real quick. I was there the weekend before the dunk contest when he scored the 40. And they set the record. But we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, got some stuff coming up. Big event. All-Star game. But this particular day, this is Saturday, everybody, March the 4th, this coming Saturday. So if y'all not doing nothing, we going to get y'all all the information before we rock out, before we close out the night. Y'all can get all the information. And then all week long, I'm going to be flooding y'all timelines with all the information on where you need to be on Saturday. So before we get to the All-Star game, we got 2 games. I've been doing my homework. I've been watching.
That's what's up.
The 12 o'clock game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Rematch of the last championship.
Yep. William Penn and Penwood. Yep.
I remember that game vividly. It came down to, in my opinion, rotations for Penwood. They were right there.
Yeah.
They were right there. It wasn't a runaway game. And again, not taking anything away from Penwood. It wasn't a runaway game. For if you didn't see it, you should have been there.
Yeah.
It was a very, very good game. And again, like I said, Penwood was right there. Some rotation issues down the stretch. And I'm just a junkie like this, and because I knew Reds, every minute I went to him and I said a couple things to him. They did it a couple times and it worked. And and I just said to one of the players, I said, listen, I'm not trying to jump in or anything. I said, but I can't help it. I know Red, that's my guy. But I just said, it's different because I'm sitting here. I'm going to see it probably before you see it because you out there playing. And I told him, I said, you do this. And he said, the guard for him.
Yeah.
I got the opinion. I was like, he was kind of resting on D. I said, that's what y'all getting hurt at.
Yeah.
Got to make him play.
Right.
Especially if he killing y'all, and he was killing them on the offensive end. If he killing y'all on the offensive end,
Right.
I mean, y'all got to get back to basic. You got to make him play defense.
Right.
So that game is coming up, and I think you're doing the ring ceremony.
Yes, the ring ceremony for William Penn, who they became champions when they beat Penwood that championship game, and then for Penwood, they won it the season before that game. They were defending champs when they played William Penn.
Okay.
And so the rings something happened with COVID situation.
Right.
It started out, so we're just going to do both ring ceremonies for both teams on that day.
And again, like you said, another thing where it sets your league apart. Guys, other leagues, you can either get a ribbon and a medal, you get a little trophy, or you get one big trophy. Everybody gets a ring. And sometimes people may say, well, these is grown men. Like, why they want to get a ring? And if you never played a sport,
Right.
it'll be very difficult for you to understand. But those are the type of things, like I mentioned, that are memorable moments for you and can turn into memorable moments for generations down the line. I think I missed a call here. Trying to call this person back. So this next game, you said the highly touted game.
So the next game after that is Hush University, which they're a top team in the league, and then we have undefeated New Jersey Raptors. They're a young, hungry team. So to have the top 2 heavyweights of the league, they're going to go at it and battle for the number 1 spot in the Western Conference. And that game has been highly anticipated. The whole league is waiting to see that game because the anticipation and the build up there. And small shout out, we got Lincoln now and then Franklin coming up too.
Real quick, caller, Heat 100 Radio Sports Red Podcast. Caller, state your name. Where you calling from?
Y'all already know who it is. It's the man child, baby.
Oh my goodness! Why are you on my line? We just gave you your shout out, man. Why are you on my line?
That's why I called in. I'm in traffic.
That was supposed to be enough. What's going on, my guy? Listen, folks, we are tuned in. We just mentioned this gentleman here, the man child, Reds. What's going on, good brother?
The league ambassador.
Man,
He's
the
the
league
ambassador.
ambassador not call in, man.
Yeah, he's the
Absolutely.
league ambassador.
Come on now.
Man.
You know we love you, man. We got you.
I gotta call in and support my guy.
No doubt,
Absolutely.
no doubt. If you ever want to make Reds a man, I'm gonna tell y'all the secret though. He's gonna kill me later for saying this. If you ever want to make him mad, call him by his government name.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'm just gonna laugh because I know what it is, and I'm just gonna laugh. But like I said to Fry, I said this is my guy.
Right.
So we there. I got you, homie. I'm not even gonna mention that. Not even gonna go there.
Don't spoil my night like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But he's doing a wonderful thing at his hospital too. Reg, you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing with your fundraising, supporting the drive you're doing at your hospital?
It sounds real distorted.
It's probably this phone, this cheap phone I got. I'm using.
Would you rather me call in on 5 Live?
Well, it'll probably mess things up because you won't hear it on the mic.
Yeah.
But can you hear me, Rez?
I can hear you, but it's like
When he hear it, it's a little muffled. Yeah.
So I was saying, Rez, why don't you talk about the great thing you're doing at your hospital with the support of the event we're doing with the run-in for youth. What's the name?
For those who don't know, I currently working at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is arguably one of the top hospitals in the world. Mm-hmm. I got a situation going on there called Fun Side Fridays. And what Fun Side Fridays is, a lot of people laugh at it when they hear the title, but when I explain what it is, they really understand it. So Fun Side Fridays is a way for the staff, along with the patients and their families, to have a moment throughout the week to get together and laugh and wear some nice, funny cartoon socks. Throughout all different units. It pretty much takes the edge off of what we deal with every day with doing cardiac surgery, on children and babies every day. That's a very stressful job that we have. We're in very, tight-knitted situations every day. We're trying to keep these kids alive. And like I said, there's so many sick kids out there that you wouldn't know that you need a person like me to come in and try to make people laugh, try to make people smile, try to make people have, at the end of the week, try to wind down and, give everybody a sense of urge of like, listen, we look forward to Fun Side Fridays. Everybody put their socks on, and let's have a good time. It's just a short moment that really, for everybody to unify and come together and, have a good time.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, and March 12th, the event we doing, Rez,
March 12th, the hospital, we do something called Philly Spin-In. And what Philly Spin-In is, we're riding, it's like a big party spin class, and each team, we're riding for 4 hours. We're riding for heart research, for kids for the hospital to find ways and different developments for heart research throughout the hospital. Mm-hmm. They're trying to find different breakthroughs and different medicines. To figure out different things that right now they can't understand why certain things are happening with these kids.
Right.
So the spending, each bike we raise money to go towards that research. So each bike is $1,000. So right now we got a team called Hooper's Ride for Little Hearts, and our team raised over $2,000 already to go towards heart research. We only supposed to raise 1,000, but y'all know how
that's
I
good
am.
stuff.
I want to do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
no doubt.
We over $2,000 now raised and counting. So it ain't even done. Mm-hmm. So that's March 12th from 2 to 6 p.m. And we'll be in there spending with the families, the surgeons, the kids that grew up having heart problems, that was in heart,
right.
Throughout the hospital. It's just an amazing time for the kids, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Always for the kids, man. Always for the kids.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, so thanks for calling in, good brother.
Things to do for the kids.
Absolutely. So we going to see you Saturday?
Yeah,
I'm going to be in the building.
I pick up that hardware.
Of course. I'll be in the building again.
Sure, I got to pick that hardware. I got my finger getting heavy. I got just the second one. man is on the way out. So
gotta go out a winner, man.
Right.
Gotta go out on top.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Even when I'm done, though, it's gonna be so much. I'll be so involved with everything. It's gonna be like
Absolutely.
I'm still there.
Absolutely. Great thing, man. Great stuff.
I'm gonna call you after this, Reds.
All right.
Yeah, but on the side note, before I go, I'm just extremely proud of Five to get Five his flowers because me and Five we go way back.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Five had them cornrows in the day. Like we go back, like we're kids together, out the city together. We go with the war with dudes out of town. So me and Five go way back. I've seen Five come a long way with this.
Yeah.
And when he first told me about that he was on the Alumni League, and I found out it was, I already knew it was a hit. It was a big hit. So you got to get Five his flowers now, man. He's doing a great job. He's keeping dudes in tight, keeping dudes off the streets. We balling. There ain't no nonsense going on for the most part. Nothing.
That's right.
So you got to he did it for the muscle.
Yeah.
Right.
Appreciate that.
Right.
You gotta praise that man for that, man.
Absolutely. That's why we sitting here right now.
I appreciate that, Reds, the ambassador. Appreciate you.
So now I'm about to go work. Now I'm about to go shoot around because I gotta get ready for the 3-point contest. About to
All right,
see
dog.
what else I can do.
All right.
All right, well, I'm gonna call you.
All right. Talk to you.
All right, man.
All right. Peace. So y'all see that? You had the caller. I had another caller on here. I'm going to try and call this person back and see if they pick up. We had another caller. But again, we're going to get back to that game, the New Jersey Raptors and Hush University, if this person doesn't answer. All right, well, we give them a chance to call back. So you saw that the ambassador of the league, current ambassador of the Alumni League, former player, champion player.
Two-time champion, yeah.
Champion player. And you see more differences as we continue the dialogue, as we continue the conversation, more differences and more segues into some other stuff. Good evening, caller. State your name and where you're calling from.
Jason Berger.
Yes, how may I help you, Jason?
That's my brother right there.
Calling to talk to Mr. Alumni League.
Yeah, definitely. Just wanted to ask him. I know that, especially in the city, I just want to ask him. I hear he's doing a lot with giving back to the community. I just want to, if you could touch on some of the things they do to give back.
Oh man,
Cool. That's a great question.
Yeah, we do toy drives. We do feed the homeless. Reg just touched on what we're doing, connecting with his hospital, Children's Hospital, helping with donating money towards the research to find out things that's, it takes more money to research, how to figure things out, things of that nature. We also do, giveaways just to families that just, not homeless people, but just families that just need a little help, support with bills around the house. That we don't promote, but we do that behind the scenes. We help middle schools with athletic schools get uniforms and sneaks and things of that nature. So we've been giving out checks to schools that we feel need the support that they don't get from the district. We started that from season 2, and it's been catching on like wildfire too with reaching out. We've bought teams, uniforms, just in general. We've become a team, or a league rather, that people come to for support that they can't get from the city. And so we've bought, I won't state teams' names, but we've bought uniforms for certain teams that needed support with that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, thanks for asking that. We will continue to do that, and that's what we do.
Absolutely. That was a great question.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
We showed around without falling.
We just went through that a little while ago too.
I
We
know,
talked
right?
about all the differences that's going on now that we just didn't have, when we were coming up, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. FLC be getting in probably next season, man. They could use you, Burge. FLC alumni. So we got to get you in there, Burge.
Sign me up.
All right, big bro.
All right. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
All right. So we had our two callers, FLC alum, again champion of the league, baller, Penwood, my guy Reds. I'm not gonna tell y'all his real name. Y'all gonna have to see him and find that out. Anyway, let's get back to before we get into the All-Star game. The All-Star game is the coup de trois, the cherry on top of the sundae. We got the other game, and you mentioned it real quick before we took that first call. The New Jersey Raptors and Hush University. What I've been seeing, what I've been reading, New Jersey Raptors are, like we like to say, the team to beat right now. If you had to call one the team to beat right now. Hush University, right there.
6-1, and Raptors 6-0. So the Raptors are they're undefeated. It's nothing better than undefeated. And the Hush, they're the vets, and they have the players that's been around for a while. So I'm sure they don't like hearing that, undefeated, and they're older than the New Jersey Raptors. They don't like that, So the Raptors, man, they're the favorites right now. We the Alumni League, we do what we call report cards of the league, where in the middle of the season we give a report card on a grade on each team to let them know how we view them and where they stand, going by what we see. And New Jersey Raptors, they got an A+. They have every position covered. They're young, they're hungry, and Hush, they had received an A. So Hush getting that, New Jersey Raptors getting that A+, and Hush getting that A. I'm sure that edged them on a little bit too.
Absolutely, I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that match. Like I said, I'm going to make my way there. You said everything kicks off at 12. I'm going to make my way there. I'm going to be there all day. I've already made plans to hang out all day. I'm going to bring my equipment, my camera, some mics, some stuff with me, just in case, some things can transpire or whatever.
And the winner of that game will have the number 1 seeding in the playoffs for the Western Conference, because we're going to the playoffs the following week.
So it's a lot to play for.
Yes.
It's a lot to play for, and a great way to feature your marquee game. The game that right now you can arguably say means the most.
Yes.
You said you get that number 1 playoff seed. It always means a lot. So the All-Star game. Before we get into we got the 3-point contest, and then we got the All-Star game. So one of the things I talked about, and I had people constantly ask me about, was this year's All-Star game. And they were like, well, what are they? I said, they're not really doing much different. It's just that they're just picking the teams the hour before the game. And I said, they've been doing that the last couple of years. And I said, I felt like, for me, as a basketball fan, where the All-Star game was before they started that particular feature, felt like that feature added some excitement to it, where it gave you, the viewer, that feel of, I know I'm getting ready to watch the best players in the world, but now I can watch LeBron play with Kyrie again.
Right.
Or I can watch Luka play with Kyrie. And it's just a great thing. So you incorporated that. You had your 2 captains. You picked your captains. They picked their players. Now, have they picked? You picked the players, the pools. Have they picked their players for each team?
Yeah. So what we did was we picked all 20 All-Stars, all 20 players who deserve to be All-Stars. And then we had the 2 top players from each conference pick their team.
Good evening, Sports Rap Podcast callers. State your name, where you calling from. Okay. Guess they called the wrong number. All right, so.
Yeah. So we picked all 20 All-Stars, and then we had the 2 top players from the top 25 that we do. The top player in the Eastern Conference and the top player in the Western Conference picked their 2 teams based on the 20 All-Stars that made it.
Okay. Now, what kind of an edge do you think that's going to bring to the All-Star game?
Just like our playoffs, I don't know if you know about how we do our playoffs. Our playoff format is the number 1 seed picks who they want to play in their conference. And so what happens is
it's a unique twist.
Yes. So we actually, we're the only league that does the playoffs that way too. And where we did it from wanting to add some excitement to it. And what's happened is teams that get picked, they come in with that chip on their shoulder knowing that this team picked us because they must think we sweet. They just picked us.
Right.
And second seed, they pick who they want to play and so forth, so forth. And so with that twist, it just adds more, motivation to want to compete and beat that team that picked you.
Right.
So with this process, and I want to give a shout out to one or two players that mentioned it to me before, probably like 4 or 5 seasons ago. But this current season, Kawhi Carter from the New Jersey Raptors, he brought it to my attention again too. So I revisited it, and I just decided to go with it. Mm-hmm. And so because I listened to my players, and so we went with that format. And I feel like players from the old eras of All-Star, how it's done, is the part that adds the twist to it is knowing that Kawhi picked you to play with. He wanted to be your teammate. Mm-hmm. And that just helps the players feel that little camaraderie for that moment, for that day, before you go back to war after the All-Star game. And you could just see the players now, if you were, like you told me before, take my commissioner hat off. If I know I'm a player and I know, for example, Kawhi Carter picked me on his team, it's like, all right, I want to cash in on him picking me. I want to, make him feel like he made the right choice of picking me. Or if he didn't pick me, to know, you didn't pick me.
Right.
You made the
mistake.
Yeah. So if you're a competitor, what I just said makes perfect sense. And when you see Kawhi,
absolutely,
you want to go at him. You know what I mean?
Like you said, it's one of them things where you have that incentive. It's constant incentive for players to want to come back, or even guys that are sitting on the sideline. Like you said, you got FLC coming in.
Yeah.
Guys that come to games, sit on the sideline, is like, oh, this how they doing it? Oh yeah, I need to be part of this.
Right.
And like you said, you don't get that at a lot of other leagues that have been had around the city. A lot of times you get those other leagues and it's like, we gonna play because we just want to work out.
Right.
Or if we put who we supposed to put together, easy money.
Right.
And it's like, kind of don't want that. Like, I was never one that really wanted the easy money. Like, for me now, even when I watch games, if it's a blowout, I'm usually turning it off.
Right.
And I'm that old school era. I think the true essence of city ball era, where if I come to your hood, we in the league, whatever, and you beat us, you best believe we coming back. No question, no doubt. Even if it's a league, or if we just got to come summertime, we just come down to y'all hood and let y'all know, look, we coming down this day. Make sure y'all there. We gonna do what we do. And I think for us in the city, that's how we built that camaraderie. I be around and I see people all the time, and I start talking to people, and I'm like, yeah, I know him, and yeah, you know him too. And it's that long stretch, that wide stretch, and it never goes away.
Right.
Never goes away.
Yeah.
And with the league, with the stuff that you have involved in your league, like you said, that All-Star game thing there, it can go both ways for you. And you didn't even mention the third edge of that triangle, the captain that made the pick. Like you said, you could either, the players are, you picked me, I'm a show out. You didn't pick me, I'm a show out and make sure you should have picked me. But for the player, it was like, damn, maybe I should have picked him. Hello, caller. State your name, caller. Tell us where you're calling from.
It's Coach Mac Mills for the New Jersey Raptors.
New Jersey Raptors. You must have heard some talk about some New Jersey Raptors or something.
I heard New Jersey Raptors, and I thought I should call in.
What's going on, Coach? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How y'all feeling?
Oh, we good. So we just talked about y'all, man. Five gave y'all a lot of props, and he mentioned well deserved, undefeated, 6-0.
Candidate for Coach of the Year as well.
See, I'm getting more information. Candidate for Coach of the Year. So
not over yet.
That's right. I like that. I like the way that thought process is in which you coach. So let me ask you real quick, Coach, since you called in. You just mentioned candidate for Coach of the Year. But you have your team right now sitting at 6-0. What are some of the things that you think have gotten you guys to 6-0?
Some of the things that got us to 6-0 was the failure of last season. Left a bad taste in my mouth. And I had to have a talk with a lot of the guys that I recruited this season and make sure that they could buy into what I was selling.
Mm-hmm.
If you wasn't able to buy into what I was selling and what I was trying to do and my vision, then you just wasn't fit for this team. A lot of people I noticed from last season wasn't buying into what I was selling. A lot of people were focused on themselves and top 25s and stats and a lot of things. And this season, a lot of my players are not even, putting up 30 points and things like that. I got the former MVP. On my team from last season, and he's not even putting up the numbers that he was putting up last season. So, just buying into what I'm selling.
Mm-hmm. That's always a definite plus. So let me ask you another question, Coach, and you might not want to answer this completely honestly because I got the commission here. Your words might be held against you at some point. Actually, I'm just kidding. If you had to pick something that you could say might be a challenge coaching in the league, if there was anything, what would you say it is?
The biggest challenge for me is winning and proving that I belong there. Because like the commissioner said to me once before that if this was the NBA, team that I had last season would have gotten me fired. They wouldn't have traded the players and nothing. They would have kept the players. That's just how the business goes.
Yeah, it's always easier to fire the coach.
Bad coach. It was just, things just wasn't working right. So I say the biggest challenge is, winning and proving that you belong there. Even if you don't make it to the championship, whatever, you just prove that you belong there. Teams in the league that been there for a while that have to work their way to a ring. It's nothing that's just going to happen overnight. This is my third season. My first season, I was a nominee for, Coach of the Year. So now I'm just trying to bring that. I'm trying to bring that home. I got a spot at home for that, and then I want to go on and get my ring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And everything he said, it came from me being real, even with the players, because the players felt like sometimes players could feel like, oh, they that good where they not held accountable. So I said on the live, hey, listen, it's not the coach, it's the players not playing to their full potential and having attitudes and stuff. And that's why I brought that example up. Like if it was NBA, he'd be fired, and it would pinpoint it to the coach's fault as opposed to the players.
Players' fault.
And if I was that type of commissioner where it's like, hey, I don't want to upset a player or make them feel some type of way, you shy away from saying that and being straight up with the players. And that just all boils down back to, players respecting honesty, just being straight up.
Yeah, I think that's a loss. All right. Thanks for calling in, Coach Millie. Appreciate you. We'll see you on Saturday.
All right, man.
All right. That's another thing, that point you just brought up, the honesty. Hey, cuz, on Facebook, let me know which cousin you are so I can give you a proper shout-out. Y'all got to remember that always. That point that you just made, the honesty. I talked about it a while back. I talk about it quite often, especially the one moment when we had Raheem from the Chosen League. We had him on a while back, and we talked about people training in Timberland boots and all that other kind of jazz or whatever.
Wow.
But we also talked about being a coach where when I was coaching, I oftentimes found too many times where coaches were either, hey, Tawanda, thank you for tuning in as always, were either afraid or didn't know how to tell a player or for kids, a parent, that their kid weren't as good as they thought they were. Good evening, caller. State your name and where you calling from.
Jimmy Grano, Hush University coach.
Hush University. And we got some real dialogue going on today. You must have just heard your competition on the line, on the airways.
Most definitely I heard it.
This is the kind of talk I like.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Coach? How you feeling about the game on Saturday?
We just ready for the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Been waiting for this game all season.
Mm-hmm.
It's the talk of the town.
Yes, it is.
I know Fahreed, he's been calling us old season.
That's a former coach of the
We'll
league, too.
take that, but I do want to let him know this is the second season that he called my teams old, and we finished 7-1. But now this time we gotta win the whole thing now.
Yeah,
We
man.
gotta win the whole thing.
Okay.
They coming for you, Jimmy Green. They coming.
Let's break it up, son.
Yeah, they said they coming for you.
Oh, no, they're definitely coming. I mean, and I could actually say I actually won the first ABA championship when we had 18.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So we definitely ready though. We definitely ready for the game.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday. I'm looking forward to that game as well.
All right, man. Catch
All
you
right.
there.
Yep. Thank you for calling in.
Green up.
All right. Yeah, and like I said, getting back to that point where either the coaches were either afraid or didn't know how to tell the kids or the parents, like, yo, your kid's not that good. Now, what I found myself doing was I was always one coach where I'm going to be brutally honest.
Mm-hmm.
When we start this league, coaching 14, 15-year-old, listen, we start this league out, we start the season, everybody going to play.
Mm-hmm.
When playoffs come, when they get to what we need to get to, bench going to get shorter.
Right.
You got to understand that going in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spring it on you halfway through the season, or you get to a point where your kid ain't playing and then you want to know why. I'm springing it to you from the very beginning. This is how I'm giving it to you. And I was always one where I would just say to the people, look, ma'am, sir, your son or your daughter is not where you think they are. But leave them here. We're going to work on it. Don't take them somewhere else. Have them start over. Leave them here. We're going to work on it. And I guarantee you, it'll be better by the time the season is over. And I'm not going to tell you, oh, they're going to be ready to go to the very next level at the end of the season. But you're going to see some things that they picked up along the way.
Right.
So, as the commissioner, how do you feel about that when you talk to players? When you like you just said, you talked to the coach at one point. How do you feel about that when you talk to players about different issues, any kind of issues or whatever that might come up?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with your foundation yourself. I mean, like I told you, I played at a high level. I was very successful. One could argue I was the most winningest player in Philly when it came to playing in the inner city and things of that nature. So with that success comes expectations and standards that you draw a line to. And so, for example, if you're a coach that achieved a lot yourself, you're more likely going to be honest with the talent or lack thereof that you see in a kid, and it's because you're not at all of the parent. And I've had parents who that their name alone makes it where you have to, kind of coddle their child. And it's like, well, listen, I'm Fahreed. I'm not coddling nobody. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to shoot it to you straight. But if you got people who haven't achieved much or haven't done much, they're most likely going to cater to that child because of the name of the parent. And sometimes that happens, but we call it how we see it around here. We keep it 300, as we say.
Absolutely.
And that's how I do my life. I do my life accordingly to that phrase.
So we also going to have a 3-point contest.
Yes. So we have a 3-point contest for all our shooters or our guys who don't get acknowledged for being a shooter. It is an event that shooters be thinking is a cakewalk until they get out there and they on an island by themselves shooting. I've seen Mo Nelson from Chester, who's a great shooter, a top shooter in our league, and he came out. He just shot some flat balls out there, and it was just like I thought he was a favorite to win it, and he just was. I think his nerves got to him a little bit because of all the expectations he had for winning. But I've also entered myself in a few of it, and I know it's nerve-wracking. Even if you're you could be in your own neighborhood gym, but it's different when the music's on and everybody's watching you in your own gym, and the competition's sitting there and they're next and they're watching you. The music's going and the commentators on the mic.
Yeah.
It's just a different setting. So it's going to be fun to see who.
It's a million things running through your head at that moment. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the winner gets $200 reward for the winner, and be named season 12.
And have some bragging rights.
Yeah,
absolutely. And again, like you said, everything it seems like that you do, that you have intertwined or interactive into the league, is for the benefit of the players, for the pleasure, the excitement and enjoyment of the players. Yeah, because you're going to have to shoot me that message in the text, all the information. But I know Toddy. You ain't got to worry about Toddy. I know Toddy. I'm sure Fi knows Toddy, too. Yeah. Yeah, we all know Toddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now. JC, you got to call me on another line. Call me on JC, my guy. Call me back on the other phone.
What other phone? Whole phone?
No, my phone. I'm doing my podcast right now. 215-287-1672.
215-287-1672?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that Toddy. That's my cousin. Her grandson played for Toddy. But I know Toddy. I know Toddy since high school. Good dude. He doing some coaching and stuff now too. So that's a good thing. Yeah, that's what she said. She said street legend. And we know that. And that's the thing. Like we said, when you know people, when you've been around it, you know people, and that's who you connect to. Good evening. Caller, state your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, DJC.
What's happening, good brother?
This ain't even a sports thing. I just got a call from Instagram, a text of Instagram from you.
No, that ain't me. My old page was hacked. I'm going to call you back when I get out of here.
By the way, what's up with these Sixers not playing their game right?
Oh, man. Stay tuned. When we get done talking to my guy, we're going to get into some Sixers talk in just a second.
No doubt. Love you, bro.
All right. Love you too, bro. I just lost my train of thought.
It's all about the sports around here. I like that.
We're, we, like you said, we keep it 100 around here. We do what we do. Again, so great things, like you said, with the league. Again, I like I said, when I first went, I was impressed. I've been watching for a while, and I get it. I enjoy it. For the city, for the basketball fans in the city, it's a different pace. It's a change of pace. It's a change of pace that we needed, I feel like, in the city. Like I mentioned, we didn't have a hub, but I feel like it's something that we needed. Because, like you mentioned, it can be that family atmosphere. You can come and you can relax and see some good basketball. And if you're from the city, you're going to reminisce because you're going to see some players that you know, arguably some players that you played against, arguably some players that you've seen that had some moments that you remember. And you're going to kind of relive those again. Yes. And again, you said 40 teams. Like, it is unheard of to have a league with 40 teams and have the success that you've had, and for as long as you've had the success. So while I'm here, like Red said, give you your flowers, I definitely commend you for that. I also commend you for all of the outreach. Like you said, you even have the guys that played in your league that are incorporating some other stuff in the community and bringing the league in, and I'm sure that's because of their participation in the league, where they now get to see a different angle. Where it's not just I'm going to come in on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings, I'm going to play this season, we're going to get our trophy, we probably have a party or something at the end of the season, whatever, and then go and wait till next season. With this, it's a lot. It gives you that mold. Like I always tell the kids that I used to coach, I tell them, stay in the game, stay around the game, but also remember, you can stay around the game and not be a player. You look at, I said, you do the math. You want to say you want to go to the NBA. It's only 30 teams, and there's only 15 players on the team. So you do the math on that. And when you go to the players, 15 players, every 15 don't play all the time. Okay, but at that point you're getting the check, and I get it. But the bottom line is, you can't play forever.
Right.
At some point, you're not going to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like I said, I always use, when I talk about that, I always use Kobe's his movie as the best, where he said, "Listen, I'm Kobe Bryant," but he was like, "Listen, my brain said, yeah, yeah, that's what we gonna do," but he said the rest of me was like, "No, it ain't gonna happen," and that's when he knew. And I said, like, I feel like a lot of players today at that level don't get that the way that he got it. They want to hold on too long.
Right.
So before we flip and get into some regular basketball, we're gonna give everybody all the information again. Or you're gonna give everybody all the information again. Saturday's All-Star game. 2 teams that are playing, where the location is, and what time we need to kick everything off so they can get in there and be part of everything.
Yep. So Saturday, beginning 12 p.m., we have the defending champs, William Penn, versus 2-time champs Penwood. 1 o'clock, we have the undefeated New Jersey Raptors playing against Hush University for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. And then at 2 p.m., we have the 3-point contest, the league's top shooters, all competing against each other for bragging rights and a $200 reward cash prize. And then we have the infamous, famous All-Star game with all the top talent, all top 25 players. All the players are within the top 25 players, all playing at once on the floor. And so they're going to compete and go at each other. They know what the fans want. They know they want to see them go at each other and compete. No smacking on the butts and smiling, letting them go by them for dunks and stuff like that. We don't do that here. We compete and we go hard. And so they're going to get the fans what they want. So come on out. It's Finley Rec Center, 7701 Mansfield Avenue. And be ready to bring the family out, man. It's going to be a family atmosphere, fun and exciting.
Absolutely. So y'all heard it first right here, as always, on the Sports Rap Podcast, right here on Heat 100 Radio, Heat 100 Radio, where you know what we say, the station that keeps it 100. So got a little bit more time. You hang out, talk a little basketball in general.
Okay.
You had my guy call. He talked about the Sixers. I kind of have a feeling I understand where he was going with that. And I'm going to bring up something that's been brought up to me for about 2-3 weeks now. And a lot of people have been questioning me and asking me how I felt or what was my thought process about the playing of Paul Reed and the other minutes going to Montrezl Harrell, and then with the pickup of Dedmon. So, for me, and then I'll let you chime in. For me, I think Paul Reed is, like I said yesterday, and it was kind of funny when I said it, the epitome of what the NBA says a lot now, positionless basketball. Montrezl Harrell is not a center. I think Dedmon will help because some of the things that I saw yesterday in that Heat game, when Embiid is out of the game and Harden's on the court with Paul Reed, the pick and roll is non-existent. I'm not going to say it's definite, but it seems like either his confidence is not there or he doesn't fully understand what he's supposed to do working in that dotted line in that pick and roll with Harden. I think Dedmon will help with those minutes, and it's unfortunate because I like Paul Reed, but I think once Dedmon gets healthy, I think he'll get those minutes because, one, he is a center, and 2, he's a veteran and he knows how to play in that pick and roll.
I mean, to me, it's nice to hear different people's opinions on everything. I'm a little old school, and I'm kind of a little partial to the new school. I feel like Embiid needs to go back to the basics a little bit and become that down low, back to this basket type center. I think that would help us more as opposed to using him in the pick and roll because he's a pop-out shooter. He will shoot it more so than back you down, get the other bigs in foul trouble type of person. Right. And again, my concerns start with the coaching. I feel like Doc Rivers just I'm not one to blast coaches to, I know we're not Sports Center, but this is a highly platform radio show where, what I say could affect, how people view him. But for some reason, his success just doesn't go no higher than where he's been at already. And it's like, I don't think he gets the best out of his players. So I think it starts there. And I just think it starts with Embiid. And even with Harden, it's like, though between those three, they have enough wisdom and enough talent to be able to take this team farther than what they've been doing. And when you look at Boston, look at what Boston's doing with Tatum and Jalen. They're bound to win a championship at some point, or at least get to the finals, and they've done that already.
Right.
With the Sixers, they haven't been to a finals. So
they haven't been there. Nope.
They might need to blow that up.
They haven't been out of the second round since 2000.
Yeah.
That was the last time we went to the finals.
Right.
I agree with some of the things you said. As far as the Joel thing, I do agree that I would like to see him more on that low block, dominating. Because when we see it, we see that there's nothing that anybody can do. It's a bucket. It's guaranteed 2, and a lot of times it's 3. It's guaranteed. And like I said, I get certain situations if teams switch up defenses where you go to that pick and roll because he can shoot that. But I think, like the same way you said, with James Harden being on this team now, I think if Joel gets into that post a lot more, and I think that's part of the coaching as well, in my opinion, is they have to force him, run them plays for him in that block, not at the top of the key or in that dotted area. I think that would open up some things for Tobias, because I think Tobias plays best in space, and when he's assured that if I get the ball, I either have that shot or I know to attack. I think that's when he's at his best. When he gets to the point where I won't say stagnant, where it looks like he's thinking, and now he's trying to vision the move late, he gets himself in trouble. But when when they kick the ball to him on the corners, when he catches them and just fires it immediately, he knocks them down.
Yeah. I mean, I feel too, is the foundation of it, the blueprint of it. You need to go get a player's coach that's a big that Embiid respects. Start there, and not have guard assistant coaches who he doesn't view as, he's seen them do it, therefore I'm going to do what they did or respect them. And so it starts there with Embiid, and I think it'll trickle down because it always starts with the best player and the coach.
Always.
They see him go hard, and he doing the things, it'll trickle down. Harden is a guard. He's not known for leading the team. He's all about buckets. And so you're asking him to lead, Joe Embiid is pretty much, he's young too. He's not used to, being in tough situations as far as success.
Right.
So
and like I told everybody when we made the trade, don't think we getting the Houston James Harden.
Right.
It's just a known fact. It's just basic life. He got miles on him.
Yes, and we're known for overpaying players.
Absolutely.
That
like what I saw in him in the last 2 games, and people was like looking at me and they was like, "Oh, this is it." I said, "I like it," but deep down inside, honestly, brutally honest, I don't care about it right now. I need to see that in April, in May.
Right.
That's when I want to see that. And if we see that then, our chances increase.
Right.
And
another perspective I think fans need to understand is the executive manager, his job is to fill the seats. That's more important than anything at that time because that's what pay the players is, and keep your stadium filled. And so when you have a Harden and Joel Embiid, your ticket's going to sell.
Absolutely.
But are you going to win a championship? And sometimes teams are okay with just being able to sell the house out. And right now, that's what the Sixers are going to do. They're worth buying tickets to go see. But they're not a championship team. So I think fans need to understand from their perspective, are they really chasing the chip or are they just looking to, keep the gym filled? And that's why I think the Sixers are right. They're just focusing on keeping the gym filled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a great different way. I never looked at it that way. But I get the point. I understand what you mean when you say that because I've been to several games. I mean, I'm a diehard fan, so I'm going to go to games anyway because I'm just a fan. But I get what you mean. When you say that. Real quick, we can jump. I kind of wanted to go into the trades, but before I go into the trades, and if we have enough time, we'll get to that. 2 words: load management. Let me check. Hold that thought. Good evening. Caller, state your name. Where you calling from?
My name's Mike from West Philly. What's going on?
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
Mike, what's up?
Everything's great. Just wanted to get your opinion. Who's the better power forward in their prime? KG or Barkley?
If you don't mind, I don't need a specific age. I just want to know what era are you from? What era are you from?
I'm from the Jordan era. I was born in 81.
The Jordan era. Okay. So the reason I ask you that is the people who tend to the later guys, let's say the 90s babies, they see Garnett and they'll go with Garnett. But anybody that's watched Barkley could go coast to coast. He can give you 15 to 20 rebounds. He brings an assertiveness that he's an animal down there. He's a leader, and I think Garnett developed that later in his career. So it's like to me, it's an opinion of what you look for. Barkley, to me, he was just a beast. Whereas though Garnett, he wasn't a leader until I'd say later Minnesota days or when he got to Boston. So it's just a matter of how you feel about me. My pick would be Barkley because of his dominance for how long he was, for how long he dominated, as opposed to Garnett, who had nice numbers, but he wouldn't take his team to the promised land. He couldn't get past the second round in Minnesota.
And arguably undersized, Barkley was.
Yes.
Well, he was a beast undersized.
Yes. But he
and they said he was the best player on the best team ever. The Dream Team.
Yeah. And that's a great point you bring up. Look at KG. I'm not trying to discredit KG because he's a great talent, Hall of Famer. But what teams have he led to success? You know what I mean? When he did that with Boston, you teamed up with Ray Allen and Paul Pierce later in his career. But in his youth, what teams did he lead? Barkley led his teams. He even took with Phoenix Suns to the finals against the greatest player of all time. And one could argue if it wasn't for Jordan,
he might have got one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Who would be that guy to stop Garnett? A few teams stopped Garnett.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So do you discount Garnett's ring?
That goes back to the era thing. I'm not a fan of the teaming up thing and winning as opposed to rocking it out with who drafted you and winning. So when he teamed up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, you won it, but you almost should have because you teamed up with 2 Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal opinion as opposed to, a Barkley who, when he was with the Sixers, he rocked it out. And he jumped to the Houston, but he was already, 30 plus, 32, 33? Mm-hmm. And then look at Tim Duncan and the Chris Webbers,
right?
And Dirk Nowitzki's. They all wrote it out,
right? And you want to go eras? Look at the new era. Look at Giannis.
Yeah,
Small market.
Very small.
Mm-hmm.
Very small.
Let me ask you, what type of style do you respect? Do you respect the super team, or do you respect the rock out with your team thing?
I kind of see both sides. Mm-hmm. I get it. This era, these players are so skilled now. Every player. It's not like when, our era when it's coming up, you have 1 or 2 that was real skilled. All these players are skilled. So I kind of understand them joining up. Now, I'm not a fan of, what KD did. I think he kind of went over the top. Right?
Uh-oh, be careful.
Yeah, be careful saying that. Yeah.
But, I don't knock Garnett to that extent. Garnett is far right, and Garnett is kind of in the middle a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas KD going to join a team that beat him, right? That's crazy. I can't respect that. But,
I get that.
Yeah,
it's a different era.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with the AAU and everybody knowing each other and playing with each other, it's just different now.
Yep. All right. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate you guys taking my call.
All right. So real quick before we get to the load management, just like you said with the super teams and all of that jazz, kind of from the same era probably. I'm 80s. Came out of high school in 88.
Yeah.
So I saw some basketball. Some basketball. We can say some basketball.
Yeah.
I said to people when LeBron first went to Miami with Bosh and teamed up with Wade, everybody was like, oh, like you said, oh, it's done. It's over with. You might as well give them the trophy now. I said to people, and I even said to some basketball people, I said, y'all going to think I'm crazy. But mark my words, I'm going to have the I told you so moment. I said, they're not going to win it their first year. And somebody was like, but you said they're not going to get there. Did you hear what I just said? I didn't say they wasn't going to get there. I said they're not going to win it first year. And somebody said to me, well, why would you say that? I said, think of all the moving parts. I said, you look at what was already there. Wade was already there, already had a ring under his belt. With Shaq, but Wade was the guy. Flash was the guy. Shaq was starting to decline, and Shaq knew, look, I can get another one, but I got to ride his coattail. That's what we're going to do. We're going to ride his coattail. All right? Great. Good move. What I also said was, I said, now you got 3 closers playing on one team. It's only one ball. How do you decide who gets the last shot as a player? As a coach, coaching staff, who do you draw up the play for in that last minute? Do you go by situation, who you playing, stuff like that? A lot of moving parts. And I'm just saying, I just am saying they're not going to win it all their first time because all that has to come together. And I don't think it's going to come together in the season the way the NBA was set up at that time. It wasn't going to happen in that one season because, again, like I said, there's too many moving parts to come in and have to catch it as you go along. They didn't win it. People came back to me and was like, oh, well, I ain't even going to blow. I ain't even going to toot my own horn. I'm not even going to give y'all the I told you so moment. I said, but y'all going to respect how I look at basketball a little bit more when we talk. And, they did. And like I said, but it took Wade was the biggest person out of that three. Somebody said, well, why? I said, because he took that back seat and he let them handle that. He could have very easily said, it's my shit. I was already here and did it. Same reason when a lot of people ask me about the situation with Draymond and KD. Why Draymond? I said, well, did he say something wrong? And somebody said, well, yeah, he said, I said, just talk basketball. They won it before KD got there. He was absolutely right. Well, yeah, they had this. Okay, but it wasn't a super team, per se. They all got drafted by Golden State. So it's a difference. Right. But, sometimes you get people to understand, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. The thing I see in that, the whole KD thing with LeBron, when they call Golden State a super team, I feel like that's to make an excuse for what LeBron did. Because you're talking about Steph, Clay, and Draymond. To say that that's the best team ever assembled, that's laughable when you look at the 3 people we're talking about. Steph, he's known as the best shooter ever. Take that nothing from him on that. Clay, you telling me Clay is one of the best players ever to play? Draymond is one of the best players ever to play? To say that that's arguably the best team ever assembled, that's laughable when you compare them to the Bulls, the Lakers. I mean, what are we talking about? So that's just not true. That's not the greatest team ever assembled.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah, now they might have won, 72 games? Cool. That doesn't make you the best team ever assembled. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, that's just not true.
And like you said, they did it basketball-wise. They did it without a big.
Yeah. Draymond Green is not, he's a Hall of Famer by the numbers. He's not a Hall of Famer by his talent. So that's that.
Coach Rob, thanks for tuning in, your brother.
And what I feel is, though, with the KD thing, him and LeBron, to me, did this same thing. Teaming up with D. Wade, which is a top 5 player, and Chris Bosh, who's a top 10 player, and you're the best player in the world at this time, and you're at your peak. I mean, come on. You telling me Chris Bosh in his hay, D. Wade in his hay, and LeBron isn't more scarier than Steph, Clay, and Draymond?
I would have to say yes.
Yes. So if you telling me Steph, Clay, and Draymond is the best team ever assembled, what's LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh then? You get what I'm saying? So that's just an excuse to me.
Like you said, I think nowadays, and you brought it up when that gentleman asked that question, the first thing you said was what era. I think that era thing takes too much precedent in where people analyze or think about or respond to things. Where, like I said yesterday, I mentioned to somebody, I said, this is the reason why I stopped responding and answering questions when people ask me, well, who's your top 10 or who's your top 5? And they said, why did you do that? I said, because I found oftentimes I would give you, say, my top 5 player, my top 5 point guards. I got to give you what I know. And a lot more times than not nowadays, it's people younger than me that are asking me that. So I've seen some people that you haven't seen. And I can't discredit that as a true basketball fan. I've got to give you my 5. But the bottom line is, when you ask me my 5 or my whatever, you don't have to like it, but you have to respect it. Because you asked me mine. And you can easily say, oh, well, I could say I got 5 as my number 1. Oh, well, I like 5 number 3. Okay.
Right.
It's perfectly fine. We can agree to disagree. But you can't discredit my list like I'm not going to discredit your list.
Right.
That's where you feel like he should be, and I feel like he should be here. You know?
Even if you look at it like this, from a standpoint of who LeBron's compared to, if Jordan had teamed up, could you imagine if Jordan would have teamed up with a prime Zeke and a prime Rodman? It's over. It don't matter who's left over. They're going to the finals every year in the East. Could you imagine if Kobe teamed up with Duncan and Grant Hill? Like, however you format that. Is
like
over.
you just said, and just to piggyback what you just said, people sometimes discredit the debating issue when people say, and I say it myself sometimes, I said, what if Jordan didn't retire for that 2.5 years?
People know.
Like exactly what you just said. Like, if he don't retire, they arguably could have won 7.
Yeah. They would have won 7. People know that.
I mean, they would have won at least it would have been 7.
At least 7.
It could have been 8, but it would have been at least 7.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, the makeup of those teams, and I had somebody try to say, well, they had, you could kind of sort of say they were super teams for that era. No, what that was in that era was basketball being coached, analyzed, and played. The Bulls knew we won it, but our centers is just, they just getting us by. But it's this dude named Dennis Rodman that's getting 20 rebounds almost every night.
Right.
And he got that energy, and he going to play some D, where Scotty ain't got to guard Karl Malone. Mike ain't got to run around and chase John Stockton in situations of games.
Right.
We got Dennis Rodman that's going to deal with Karl Malone, and we can put Ron Harper, BJ, whoever, Craig Hodges, one of y'all chase around him, and Mike and Scotty going to run the show.
Right.
But stuff like don't happen like that no more.
And that's what's happening in today's game with all these trades and like the gentleman said about skills. That's a cover-up because what's happening is the league is getting more watered down. Back in the era of Jordan era, you stayed with who drafted you. And your true talent showed because you're going against who was drafted.
Right.
It's just that simple. But if teams start joining up with each other in that era, look at the era that we both grew up under with the Jordan and Karl Malone and all the teams that stayed where they were at. If they teamed up with people it would have messed it all up.
Right.
So Jordan goes down as a GOAT because nobody can say during his run he owned his era.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron can't say he lost more than he won. He's 4-6 in the finals.
Yep.
And he's arguably lost that much due to the whole system that he started.
Absolutely.
With jumping teams. So
Yep.
he got to take the loss for losing 6 times by a system he created. You can't get credit for going 6 times and losing.
Right. Yeah, you
6
can't.
times.
Yeah, like it makes no sense. Like even people that want to go talk about the numbers and the stats, like, you do the math on that.
Yeah.
Like,
and you went to
make
where
it
you
make
wanted.
sense.
You went to where you wanted to go. 'Cause
Yeah.
remember when he got to Miami, how many rings he said he was going to win? Not 1, not 2, not 3. There's a reason he felt that confident in saying that because he knew what he joined.
He knew what he had.
And you come out with 2 after you
2.
lost 4.
Right.
Come on, man. That's a failure.
Yeah, it's a failure. Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere around that.
It, like you said, it's one of those things where I can go eras with people, and then I'll just go straight basketball because one of the things I also, like you said, the way the game has changed and what it's been watered down to. A while back, shortly after Mark Jackson was removed from the coach of the Golden State Warriors, saw him in an interview, and he mentioned something, and it stuck with me. He said, basketball nowadays has been ruined from the pro level all the way down to the AAU level. He said because the three-pointer is a curse. Mm-hmm. He said because I go in the gyms now, and everybody's shooting three-pointers. Mm-hmm. And somebody said to me, well, that's where the game is today. And I was like, if you really sincerely think that, you need to rethink your love of the game or your understanding of the game. Right. And I said, it's there. I get it. It's part of the game. But now you got players called the stretch 4, where conventional wisdom, traditional basketball, there's no stretch anything. You're the shooting guard, the point guard, small forward, power forward, and the center. And once we got away from that, we got what one of my old heads used to say to me. He always say, D, you know what you're looking at, and you know better. He says, that's entertainment. Don't get too caught up in that because it's entertainment. You knew that. And I would always just smile when he said it and chuckle. And I was just like, and then one day after a while, I just sat there, and we were together this particular day, and we watching the game. And I'm watching the game, and he in and out. And then at one point, he just said to me, he said, young boy, what I tell you? And I did. My reaction was just yours right then and there. I said, my bad. I said, I can't help it right now. He said, but as long as you understand, I said, I got you. I understand. And more as I went along, I understood better. I understood at that point when he said it. But as the game progressed to where it is today, I understood it a lot better. And like you said, speaking of that, the way it's changed, like the All-Star game this year, 175 to 180 something points. And when I showed somebody the score, they was like, yo, this is I said, no defense. And they was like, well, they never played defense off. No. I said, usually when it get late, they try to put on the show. Somebody want to steal the MVP or, look, we going to get together. We going to win this. We can steal this game. Right. It ain't none of that no more. It's all just scoring.
Right.
Go.
And another point I like to make is look at Popovich and the Tim Duncan comparison. In their era, they won 5. Now, the funny thing about that is Duncan had to catch LeBron caught Duncan's last days. San Ann won that last chip at their oldest age because of the style of play. Duncan wasn't setting picks and then shooting a 3 like they do today. That goes back to my point about Joel Embiid. If Duncan, who respected Popovich, which Duncan wouldn't start shooting these nonsense threes and jump shots right off the pick and roll because Popovich was old school. And he made the Heat adjust to Popovich's style of play. One could even argue San Ann was a lucky 3-point shot from Ray Allen hitting from winning 2 from their style of play. San Ann didn't adjust to this new ball, shooting threes off the pick and roll. And you don't have no more Tim Duncans or guys that play to the.
It's funny you say that. I've always been the one to say, in that game, that championship, that series there, if Tim Duncan is in the game, Chris Bosh don't get that rebound.
Right. Yeah.
And people looked at me and they were like, well, what do you mean, Chris Bosh? I said, here we go again. I said, I look at the game a lot differently than a lot of you other people look at the game. And I said, I understand basketball. And I said, go back and watch the play. Look where he got the rebound at. Look where Ray Allen shot it. I said, if Tim Duncan is in the game, the rebound doesn't get to Chris Bosh.
That was a bad coach move.
It doesn't get to Chris Bosh.
Now, look at it from a... San Antonio came right back and won it the very next season as Duncan got another year older. That's supposed to be the other way around. Like if San Antonio lost,
the other way around.
Miami's supposed to come back and win it because they were the more youthful team. But it just goes to show you their style of play was more assertive and more aggressive, which is back down. But Duncan was about a bucket.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing that stretch forward stuff that you see today. But if Joel Embiid did more of that, impose his will on a post and accept that as his role, you can have other players, prosper in their roles.
Absolutely. So we got the last 12 minutes, and we're going to get to it real quick. Before we close out, just the last thing. Load management. Your thoughts on it?
Load management, another thing of this new era where you pretty much you're taking games off. And I feel like Kawhi Leonard is a great example of it because if you're hurt, that's one thing. I would excuse the load management thing because he has an injury that keeps reoccurring if he keeps playing. Right. I get that. But now it's trickled down to the other players and they've caught on to it. Hey, listen, I could take a night or two off and I get paid. You already, there's nothing you can say. You can take away for that. So as long as that's now a thing, they're going to take advantage of that. And that's what you're going to see. And again, it waters down the league because old school, you just didn't do that. You didn't believe in that. You wanted to compete night in and night. They even had back-to-backs.
Back-to-backs.
Literally, Monday and Tuesday. You know what I mean? In this era, it's just soft, man. It's watered down. Watered down.
Like I said, Charles Barkley is very adamant about it. And I was very impressed with Anthony Edwards, who actually said something about it as well. And he's a young guy in the league, 2-3 years in the league. Yeah. And he sees it. And he brought up the same point that Kobe Bryant brought up at one point before he passed. He said, you come and you play this game. And you got these fans that come that can probably only come to that one game. And then you don't play. How do you think that makes them feel? So
and who you think started that for Kobe to see? Jordan started that for Kobe to see how professional you take and serious you take a kid wanting to see you play. Yeah. This era, LeBron, and I'm just being honest, he was able to play to get the record, and then now you're hurt.
Yep, and that's the same thing. That's exactly what Kobe said. Kobe said, what if? Because Kobe said his wife asked him, you banged up. Why don't you sit out? He said, it's somebody in them stands that paid their hard-earned money to see me, and I'm not going to disappoint them.
Yeah, just a different era.
Absolutely, folks. Great dialogue. Again, thanks everybody that called in today. Thanks everybody that tuned in. Give them all your information real quick before we close out.
Yes, my phone number is 215-847-7717. My IG is at Alumni League, and my Facebook is the Alumni League. If you want to contact me, enter a team, or just come out and come support the league in any shape, fashion, you can contact me, DM me, call me, and we can go from there. I appreciate everyone's support out there.
Absolutely. So again, folks, if y'all missed any of that, I got all that information. I'll make sure if you need to, you can hit me up and get all of that information. And again, I will see you all on Saturday. Like I said, I'll be in the building, Finley Rec, 7701 Mansfield Avenue, right in, that's Mount Airy, they call that, Mount Airy, Oakland, whatever. But you know where it's at. You know it because the name is Finley. Y'all know where to get me, at Sports Rap CEO on Instagram. Sports Rap Podcast LLC is the group page on Facebook. You can get me every Monday right here on Heat 100 Radio, heat100radio.com. Thanks to my guy for coming in. And listen, I'm going to flood y'all up all week. And like I said, I'll see y'all Saturday early, 12 o'clock, tip off. Y'all need to get there before then. And if you're there, come see me. Come say hi. Talk to me. Thanks y'all for tuning in. Peace.